So this week we're going to work on cryptic writing. So what is cryptic writing? We're going to put it in our journals and we're going to make it look like something. It might mean something to us, but it's going to look like nothing. So this is just some examples that I made when I was playing around, and I'm going to show you more. So we're going to do these in our journal. We're going to learn to use our own writing, our printing, our penmanship, our made up words, our whatever we want to use. My week was really like emotional and crazy and all that. So I was glad that I had this lesson planned. So this kind of writing is a way to put writing in your notebooks or your journals or whatever you use and not have anybody be able to understand what you're doing or what you said or what you're writing. So this is the cryptic writing. These are just some regular printing and some symbols that I made, and we're going to use this. So we're going to start by talking about when we want to release things, when we have stress in our life or emotional things going on and we don't know what to do with ourselves, but we know art is going to help us. These are the kinds of things we're going to look at. So this, I used this giant Sharpie. Now, I would have even liked to make this bigger. This was as big as this brown piece of craft paper that I had, but I used this very large Sharpie and I wrote big. Now, when you're being emotional, the big writing, like the bigger you can get on the paper and the messier, it doesn't even have to be legible. It could be just scribbling kind of stuff. The more release you're going to get from your muscles. So we hold these things in our muscles, and this is why I'm talking about some of this. So you could start with something really large like this and make really big printing, really big writing on big, huge pieces of paper. And then you can cut up sections and use it in your book. This word is how I wanted to feel when I was done with my exercise. So this is peace, right? I wanted to have some peace for my day. So that's what this was. Then this very scribbly, messy writing is me writing about my day. That's what that was. Does this look like writing? No. Does it look like doctor's writing? Maybe. But that's the beauty to this exercise we're going to do. Okay. So I'm just going to start. I have this and I have this, and I'm going to get my notebook. That's a big Sharpie, Sandy. That was one of the biggest Sharpies I could find. But this is so satisfying, you know? It's called the Magnum. I mean, look at it. Look at the tip on this thing. I mean, this writes. I'm not going to write in my notebook with it. So these definitely will go. This is cardstock. These journals are cardstock journals, right? So, but this will go through the journals. So I don't want to write in there. Now you could put gesso down and then it wouldn't go through. But these Sharpies will go through this paper. So I didn't want to do that. So I'm going to tell you about what I have here. So I have my notebook. And I took some watercolor, and I've already done this because I wanted it to be dry for us today. So this is just a light wash of watercolor. So I put some water down. You can see the pages bent a little. I'm not worried about that. And I used this light pink because I wanted something light, and this light yellow. And I just put this wash in the background. And then we're going to do our cryptic writing symbols and things on top of this. The other thing I brought, or I bought, or I have with me are some Posca pens. These are paint pens, and it's acrylic paint. So I'm going to show you a couple things. Be careful when you buy them. So this one is a regular nib Posca pen. You have to shake them, and then you pump the tip, and the paint comes down into the tip, and then you can write with them. So we'll write with them in a minute. But this, when I went to the store, this is a brush pen. We're going to try using this today. This is a little different. You have to pump this from the end. These are a little more pricey, I think, but I didn't realize that's what I was getting when I was at the store. So it's a nice, the brush tip is nice, but I'm not sure I'm in love with it. The Posca brush tip. I like other brush tips. So I bought this pink one. You all know I love pink, as evidenced by that right there. So I have these Posca pens, and then I have this finer tip Posca pen. Again, these are paint pens, so they're acrylic paint, and that's kind of a good thing for what we're going to do when we get to the gel plate, because we're going to do a quick gel plate one also. That's what these were that I showed you. I'd done these on small gel plates, this one and this one. And there's a reason for that too. So we're going to use a little bit of everything today. So I guess I better get into it, right? This is just a fine tip Sharpie. This is just called a Sharpie pen. I find this one doesn't bleed through. So I will use this in my journal without any problem. I'm just showing you things you could use. And I have this Uniball. This is a Vision pen. It's waterproof and fade proof. So this is why I love this one. So, oh, they're not Posca pens. They're Posca pens. It's Posca, and they're by Uni, which is the same company. So these two are the same company. This is a Uniball Vision pen. They're permanent. And this one is Posca, Posca, just in case you were looking. They're by Uni. I have a bigger box of them. I'm not going to dig them out, but I do have a bigger box, but they're bigger nibs. So I wouldn't really use that for something like this. So this is just the name of them. Do be careful. There are a ton of different nibs and tips and things that you can find when you go purchase these. Again, I think I like the firmer nib better than that brush nib, but we're going to use a little bit of both today, so you'll see. And again, this is that brush tip. So this has an end to it that you have to push to prime to get the paint out into the brush tip. So that's what this is. And this protects it so you're not getting it pushed if you're not using it. So that's that. Okay. So I started with this, and I thought that I would rip this up eventually and glue this into my journal. But for now, I'm just showing you the different kinds of writing that you can, should consider using. So this first exercise that I'm going to do, I'm going to try to do it this way. So this is just my Uni pen, and I'm going to hold it very loosely, and I'm going to fake write. I'm going to have in my mind something that I'm writing about. So it might be somebody cut me off in traffic today and I'm really angry, because those things do get me angry. I have been known to get angry. So you're just going to hold your pen very loose, and all I'm doing is scribble writing and pretending that I'm writing something important. Right? And I'm just going to carry on this way. This is harder to do on camera than anywhere else. And you're going to scribble write about your problems. This is a way to write in your journals, even though you might not be able to decipher it and see and know what it says later, doesn't matter. And it's somewhat artistic. So I could go on like this forever in pages. The other thing you could do is you can make up your own symbols. So I thought about this today. So I was thinking about the ABCs. So if I were going to make an A, maybe a triangle could stand in for an A, right? If I were going to make a B, maybe I would have a line and 2 dots, and that would be a B. If I were going to do a C, maybe the C would be 3 dots. If I were going to do a D, maybe it would be a line and 3 dots, let's say, since that's big. So you can make up some code for yourself for your letters that you want to do. Say E, you want to have an E. So maybe it's 3 rectangles on its side is your E. And maybe your F is just 2 rectangles on its side. Maybe that's F. And maybe G is curvy, so maybe G is a dot with a lower line like that, etc. So you would make up a whole set of symbols like this to use in your journal. Again, you wouldn't put the A next to the triangle, you just write with a triangle, right? So these are the kinds of symbols and things that I'm talking about. Now, the other thing that I absolutely love, I've never liked my handwriting, my printing, or anything else. I usually buy my supplies at locally. I have a Michael's store. If I send away, I love Dick Blick. I am cautious with Amazon because I've gotten things before that were dried out. So just be cautious. It depends on what it is. Usually these pens are fine. Glues, if they're a glue pen, I'm careful with something like that on Amazon. These Posca pens, definitely, you can find them at any craft or art store. Again, Dick Blick is my favorite. I know, like, we have a more local Connecticut-based Jerry's Artorama, but online, I don't care for their online shop. They don't always have everything I want. So I really am a Dick Blick person. I really like them best. Okay, so the other things we have to talk about are uppercase, mixing uppercase and lowercase letters in a combination of words, any way you want to say them, anything you want to do. So let's say you want to write about A, B, O, U, T. So using capitals and lowercase letters is another way to put writing in your journals and have it look arty and unique. You know, I think, like, if nothing else, doing your ABCs across the page is quite attractive. So you could just do ABCs in any which way using big letters and little letters all together. You could do, if you were going to use a word, let's say about again, you could do A, B, O, U, T. Color, you can make these words anything you wanted to make them. And then color them in. So this scribble writing is the thing that I love the absolute most. So if you're writing actual words, think about what you're writing, but just your scribble writing all along. I think that this is the important thing to say or do. So I'm going to show you now. I'm going to move this, and I'm going to show you now because I have pre-prepared this, which is this is a Geli Plate, as you can see. So I took my Poscas. So you can take the Poscas. They're acrylic paint, again, no different than any of the other paints we use here. So they're acrylic paint. The reason why I did this already is because we wanted it to dry. Now, when you use these plates, you're going to get the mirror image. So this might be words, but you're going to get the mirror image of the words. So it's even harder to understand if you use this format. So this is what happened here, right? So I wrote, everyone is fighting a battle you know nothing about. So I wrote that on a small plate and I just reversed, I printed it on here and it's in reverse. So it's hard to see, but you can hold it up to a mirror and somebody would be able to read it. So that's mirror writing. This, I just did the scribble writing and I love the way this came out. This I did scribble writing and letters and they came out upside down. Believe it or not, I wrote these two upside down on purpose so that they came out right. But that's as good as it gets. Like the BA is about as good as I could do. After that, I started getting clumsy. So I have my brayer here. So I wrote in the purple Posca pen. I just did my scribble writing. And all I'm going to do now is make sure that I have paper here, which I do. And I'm going to lay down some paint. You don't need a lot of paint for this. I suspect I might need a little more paint than that. But you don't want too much paint on your plate. And I'm just going to Go over that a couple of times. Get the paint thin, and before it dries, let's do it this way. I'm going to put this down. And I'm going to rub it. Now, the thing about your Geli plates, if you don't know this, when you first put it down, you could feel it's wet because it feels cold. And then as it dries, so some people let these dry a long time. I'm not going to let this dry a long time. As it dries, it warms up. So I just check to make sure something's lifting. Now there's still writing on the plate, and that's okay. That's called the ghost print. We're okay with that. So this is why I love using the Geli Plate. I think that looks cool. That in itself could be a journal page, as far as I'm concerned. But you certainly could write your anger things, glue this onto your journal page, and then decorate over top of it and turn this into a piece of art. So this is how we disguise art in our journals right here. And I just love the way that comes out. So there's still a little on here. I'm going to try to lift again just to try to get this off, and I'll show you how I go about writing on the plate with the Posca pens. So again, any acrylic paint pen, which Sharpie used to make one. I don't know if they still do. I've heard that they've discontinued them. But any acrylic paint pen you can use on your Geli plate. Don't use markers. Make sure they're not markers, because markers will stain your plate. I guess if you don't mind, it's okay, but I don't know. I don't think you'd want to stain your plate with markers. Okay, and then pretty much this is the second pull, the ghost print. So you could see it's just a little bit lighter. There's the other one, the first one we did, and there's the second one, and it's just a little bit lighter, but it still looks great. So you could have gotten 2 pulls out of this, 2 usable pulls, as we say in the art journal world. Now, you can see there's residue. I sometimes, sorry for that noise because I know it's louder than me. I take a baby wipe, and I wipe it up. But you know what? I don't worry about if it doesn't all come up. So some of the reason why is because I did this yesterday, so it had been sitting on the plate for a while. So, all right, let's let that dry. Or let me take a towel and just dry it off a little bit. And then we'll use the pink Posca. Again, I'm holding my pen very loose. You kind of have to hold your plate down. Am I writing anything? I am not. I'm making up the letters that I feel like seeing and using. And it is sticky-ish on the plate, but I don't worry about that. This is what my fast signature in the store on the machines looks like. So now we have to let this dry. So you can't put paint right over this because it will all smudge. However, I'm going to say this, sometimes not a terrible thing. Smudging can be fun. You could see that this one's smudged on me, and I kind of like it. So that's a cool thing too. So I'm just going to pull a print off of this and show you what the smudged one looks like. And then we'll do another one. Do it this way. This is very thin drawing paper I have. This is why you see it coming through a little bit. Not a big deal. I love this writing, and I love doing this way. And here's why. There's so much you can do with this. Okay. So this is now the mirror image, and there's still a little something on here. So how about if we take another color and try to pull? Okay. All right. So I'm going to try to pull this Not much will come off, but a little bit will. Oh, this is a really bright yellow I used. That's all right. Let's see. I'm just reading some comments while I'm doing this. Well, this is a very springy, Eastery looking combination of paint. I don't think it's enough though. Let's take a little more, put a little more on there. Now, I won't throw any of these papers away. I save these to use in my journals later. I rip them up if they don't look good to me, what have you. I save everything, for those of you that don't know, all the papers. That was a little bit wetter than I wanted, but that's all right. Most of it will come up. And if there's things left on the plate, so there's that one. Again, I kind of just love this. So if there's things left on the plate like there are here, you could wipe them off with your baby wipe, but I like to just kind of let it go. This is I'm trying to look for the color. Khaki green Posca pen. You do shake these and pump them to get the paint to the tip. This one's already juicy. So okay. I'm going to let this dry so we can just do one more in a little bit. And this is how I do it. This is it. So I'm going to move this. I'm going to let it dry. And we're going to just move on. So now I kind of want to show you this. So the other thing that you should consider doing is writing big, tiny, small. So because I don't have anything planned to say, let's just use A, B, C, D, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P. So I'm just going to write the alphabet. So you could fill in, if you made a big bunch of letters like this, you could fill it in with your printing like that. This kind of scribble writing. You could fill it in with your letter codes. So I'm going to make some things up here. You could fill it in with just numbers. So also when we were young, remember the days when we did the alphabet corresponded to numbers. A was 1, B was 2, C was 3. That's another form of secret writing. But I just love how this all comes out on the page. So that's why I chose it. So I'm going to hope that I have my glue stick, and I do. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little tearing. Again, if you remember, this is how I wanted to feel after I got finished with all my writing. So I'm going to use a little glue stick. Now I'm going to stay within the bounds of the paper on purpose, so I don't have to worry about gunking up my book here. Scribbling is and secret writing is definitely fun. Okay, so this hangs off the edge of my journal here. Before I secure it, let's try to make it a little straight. So now, who knows what I called the person that cut me off in traffic in here? But I can tell you it probably wasn't very nice. It's probably a lot of stuff that I could never say on YouTube, just so y'all know. So even though you're a great person, you sometimes have bad days and you say bad words. And you know what? You got to forgive yourself. It's okay. So I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to do this. Is the back of this one. This is just my Oohoo glue stick. This is, I don't go through glue sticks really fast. And I find they do get dried out. So I try to only buy them if I have a project in mind and I know I'm going to use them up. I think I mostly use my wet glues, mostly. Okay, now I don't necessarily need people to know even that this says peace. So I could come in here with some paint, scribble right over top of everything here. I could write terrible things about people in my life if that's what I wanted to do, if I was mad at somebody in my life. So all that to say, even if you cover something up, you can cover up part of a letter, part of letters, some of the letters before you put things down. Now, I happen to love craft paper, so I'm probably going to do something like this. So I did do that color wash there, but you could see, you know, I didn't use it. I decided to use the craft paper writing because I thought it looked cool. So you can make this look very like cave painting-ish, you know, swirls and, you know, from back in the day. You guys ever seen cave paintings up close? I went to Arizona. Those were amazing. That was like the most amazing trip I ever had. Let's do it this way. So cave paintings, you know, you draw people. Okay. So you could do swirls. You could do, let's see, I'm trying to remember the cave people. They had bodies, heads, arms. They were very primitive, and I like that primitive work. Something like that, say. If you think it looks alien, It does. They do look alien. Petroglyphs. Petroglyphs. That's the word I was looking for. Thank you, Laura. Laura, thank you. So this is the kind of thing you could do. And this might mean, this doesn't have to mean the traditional, this is a person thing. This could mean this is the boogeyman and that I'm afraid of, but this could be what's going to save me, whatever that might be, or who's going to save me, or the hug I need, or who knows. So maybe there's a tree that you saw the boogeyman at, and on the other side of the tree is the other side of the spiral, whatever that means. Were they walking on a road? Maybe. Were there stones on the road? Maybe. Now, people that look at your journal are not going to be able to understand what you meant by any of this. And that's the good thing, right? That's the fun thing. So this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. But I'm also talking about using your letters, big and small, mixed in amongst this. This also helps it look very, very, very cool. So you could do even 1 0 1 1 0 0 0 1 0 1 1 1 0. You could do, you know, codes like that with numbers. You could use twos. You could use whatever floats your boat. Make it up as you go. And the only thing that matters is that you knew at that moment what it meant. You might never know again, but it doesn't matter. My outcome the other day I wanted was peace. I got it just by working through things this way. Now, there's plenty more we could do here, right? I can put paint and things like that. Let's go back, though, to the other one that I did. So this was done with the green Posca marker. Oh, I forgot to clean off my brayer. This is bad behavior, you guys. Really bad. For some reason, I can't see the YouTube on YouTube. I have to see them on my computer. It's not showing me what people are saying. Okay, so I'm just going to dry this off. And what do I want to use behind that green? The other day, I thought this made it look very, mysterious and Egyptian when I use these color combinations. So let's try this one. Again, you don't need this to be a lot of paint. It's better to start out and not have enough and have to add a tad more. The fact that you could see the writing through this is a good thing. Too much paint. Well, the only thing that will happen is nothing will come off. And you'll have to pull it again. Just paint will come off. But this is like the perfect amount right here. This is what you want. You could do this right in your journal if you wanted. I love this idea of mirror writing. So I love the idea that I write it down, but it comes out backwards. And you could write secret messages on your plate. And they come out backwards, as I showed you earlier. And here you go. I love that. So no two are ever going to come out the same. They're never going to look alike. There's stuff under. Can you guys see it? There's stuff under here from the prints before. Oh, I love how this happens with the Geli Plate. This makes me so happy when that happens. I like that there's different layers in there. That makes me so happy. So that one came off pretty clean. But I love that it came out so nice. So this one you wouldn't get a ghost print really off of. I'm going to show you the backwards writing so you could see what it looks like. So this is, let's use the purple pen. Oh, Laura lived in Arizona for 12 years. Laura, I'm somewhat jealous. I kind of have always wanted to live there. My husband has never been there, and I keep saying, we need to go, we need to go, we need to go to Arizona. I loved Arizona. So, okay, let's write something. What am I going to write? Of course, you know, when you're under the gun, you can't think of anything to write. So I'm going to print, and I'm going to see if I can find something on my desk that okay, let's just write words, okay? Live life to the fullest. I'm going to repeat this again. I know I've said this before. This is a Posca Paint Pen. Don't use regular markers on your plate. Have fun. Enjoy every moment. Embrace the little things. Hug everyone you love. Okay. So now this, you could see the writing isn't really perfect. It's hard to write on the Geli Plate. It's squishy. Let's do some little thing there. Also, these pens, every once in a while, you have to push on them to get more paint to come out. So there's that. I'm going to let this dry for a minute. I'm going to talk to you for a minute and think about, oh, here, let's do this. We'll clean this and hope that that dries quickly. Do you have any questions? Sandy, that's exactly what you were thinking. Look at us thinking alike. I think we're two peas in a pod, you and I. Okay, so, you know, this will come off with soap. Like I use that soft soap. But you shouldn't let the paint build up on your brayer, because I'm telling you, I've ruined a brayer before and it's not good. You don't want to do that. So you don't want to use heat on your plates, by the way. So you don't want to turn on your heat guns to do this. This looks like it's almost dry, so let's give it a little bit. Oh, you know what bad thing I see? This. Where's my glue? Gotta cover it up because you don't want to leave your glue uncovered. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's hope that this is good. I'm going to pick another color that will come out nice here. I'm going to pick this one again. It's kind of boring doing it twice, but I think it looks good with the purple. This is burnt umber, I believe. Oh, yellow ochre, if anybody wants to know. So I just cover it again. You can see right through it. Love that. And then I'm going to pull this print. Why do I love this? Because of the mirror image. And most people wouldn't be able to, they'd have to stare. You could write it really tiny too. You could write little tiny angry notes. But most people wouldn't be able to read it backwards. And that's the beauty of this. So that one's sunk in a little more. You can see there's a ghost print there that I could pull, but there you have it. You'd have to really work to read this. So it's backwards now. So this is another form of, to me, secret writing. You know, you might want to cover up a few words here and there. You could put art on top of it a little bit here and there so people couldn't read the whole thing. But it's another great way to cover things up. Okay, and we have a ghost print on there. So let's pull that up because, you know what? Let's try this one. I think this is going to be too dark for it, but let's try it. So this is my favorite. This one is primary magenta, but I love magenta. There is not enough magenta in the world, and there's still some of that ochre, yellow ochre on my brayer. Sorry, got distracted because I couldn't find paper. Okay. Again, I'm just using drawing paper here. It's thin and it's okay. It works fine. And there it is. And I like the way that came out also. I like the mottled look. So the yellow ochre kind of has that orange hue with the primary magenta. And there you have it. Secret writing, cryptic writing. Again, here I used these little, I'll show you. So I had this little plate. This is a little Geli plate. That's what I used here. And I had this round one that has a stain on it. This is a flower, but it's stained. It actually won't come out of this. That's okay because the gel plate still works. But that's how I made this one. So you can find different size gel plates like this that are kind of cool if you wanted to use those in your journals. Or just use a gel plate you have. Use partials. Do it while it's still wet so you get some bleeding. I think that that's a creative and cool looking way to have hidden writing. This one I actually wrote AB. It's mirror writing because it comes out upside down, so it's actually AB, and I wrote the B the right way so that it came out looking right, but it was the mirror image of what I wrote. So those are my cryptic writing and secret writing ideas for your journal. I am going to switch over to the other camera so I can see you. Well, you can see me. I can't see you, which is too bad. Hello. Hi, everybody. So this is a fun way to play with your handwriting. No excuses about, I hate my writing, I hate my printing, none of that. This is supposed to be unreadable and undecipherable. All of it is supposed to be like that. Here's the other one we just did. Oh, you know, it's really funny. Let's see, can you see it? Look, you could see through the paper because the light's shining through here. So you could read it that way. How funny is that? This is the backwards one with the ghost print. This is the backwards one, or the original. So, okay, there's that. We made these. This was a ghost print. I mean, this was the original. And then this was the ghost print. Again, I will save these and use these in my journal. This is the pink one that we let get all splotchy. And then in my journal, well, I showed you this as an example, but then this is the one that I did with peace and how I wanted to feel. Make up your writing as you go. Have fun, play. Well, I'm going to have to glue that corner down. Have fun, play. Go to our journaling community on Facebook. I'll put a link down below the video when we're done. and share with us what you make. Show us what you come up with. Show us what ever you practice. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't have to be actual words. It just has to be writing. And that looks cool in your journal. Can you keep decorating beyond these pages? You absolutely could. So you could throw paint at this, doodle, do paint marks all over the place, whatever you wanted to do. But this is just your base layer. However, this one I like so much, I'm probably going to leave most of it visual like this, because I kind of love this craft paper. This is actually packing paper. It came in some box I got from someplace, and I just saved it all. Okay, you guys. Oh, thank you everybody for showing up and coming and leaving questions.